Hey y'all, this is David Ducker coming back at you. It's going to be a video request from my good buddy John Large in the United Kingdom. And he wanted to know, what do I look for in a game? Now that's incredibly broad, so I'm going to assume he means, what do I look for in a gaming group? I think that's what he meant. So, first thing that I look for, of course, is the GM. You know, that's usually the first person you meet. He's usually the one in charge of recruiting you into the game. So, you know, I'm a very good player, not only in my role-playing ability, but in my planning ability. So I'll talk to the GM. You know, if he says, "Hey, I'm running a game. You want to join this game?" I'll say, "Of course I want to join this game. I want to join every game, every game I can." I asked him, you know, what kind of game is it? What's your setting like? And hopefully he'll have something prepared, you know, whether it's Greco-Roman, Tolkien-esque style, whether it's space opera. But he'll have his response, and I'll say, "Oh, okay, that's cool. What's like your story going to be like? You know, if it's Greco-Roman, is it about a legate sent to rein in the centaurs of the Great Savannah? Or is it about a patrician house and the scheming of the Senate in the capital city? Or is it about a small Titan cult trying to raise up the Titans, free them from Tartarus? You know, we're the cultists, of course, the player characters. So what's your story going to be like? In brief, the kind of thing you'd have on the back of a DVD when you're going to buy it, the kind of thing you'd have on the back of a book, a teaser. And hopefully he's got something prepared for that. You know, it's going to involve this or that. And I could ask some follow-up questions about what style is it? Is it going to be a dungeon crawl, hack and slash, politics? Is it going to be like a research mystery kind of thing, like a Call of Cthulhu? So just through this interaction, I will have a pretty good grasp on his level of preparedness. Now, just because he's not prepared doesn't mean he sucks, but the odds dramatically drop that he's going to be great if he's not very prepared. But that's fine. I'll still go in. I go into every game I can, because even if the game sucks and the GM sucks, one of the players might be good, and I'll bring him into my game. You know, I've got a lot of players like that. Most recently, Mike, who's a great player. I found him in a really stank game, really bad game. But after I've got that info from him, I'll come back to him with concepts. And I like to submit at least 3 concepts. What do you want to see me play? And I'll usually give them one safe choice, like, you know, lawful good, chaotic good, common race. You know, it'll still be complex and interesting. It'll be kind of, you know, more typical. I'll give him one of those, and I'll give him one evil choice, which is someone a little less typical, an anti-hero rather than a hero. You know, maybe a cultist of a dark god, or necromancer, someone from a banned school of magic, an enchanter. Enchantments can be very evil. And then I'll give him my third concept is usually an exotic race for that setting. So in Tolkien, that might be where I could get my goblin on, or an ogre. In Greco-Roman setting, you know, maybe I'll bring in a minotaur or a gorgon. So I'll give him at least 3 concepts. And, you know, these can hinge on what he's given me to work with. You know, I was just in a game with this guy Jason, stank-ass game, but that's where I got Mike out of. So something good came of it. But he said when I was interviewing him, because I interview them, because I'm the MVP, and they have to work to get me into their game. That's how I approach it. But as interviewing him, he said, okay, it's going to be in Galarian, Pathfinder rule set, so it's Tolkien-esque. And it's going to be in the Taldor region. And Taldor is like one of my least favorite parts of Galarian. I'm fairly familiar with Galarian. I knew right away Taldor is not very fun for me. But I pulled out my Inner Sea World Guide, and I was reading through Taldor, and I'm writing down every time something interesting shows up in the description of Taldor. I write it down. So like Ulfin Huskarls are there, nobles are there, Assassin's Guild is there. They've got some elves in the forest. There's a large population of orcs in the north. I love orcs, or goblins in this case. I mean, they're in Pathfinder they call them orcs. They seemed more like goblins to me. But there's also dwarfs in that area. So I wrote down everything from there that could hook into his story. So I'm like, oh, you want political intrigue? I've got a concept for a noble. Oh, you want a thieves guild? I've got a concept for an assassin. Oh, you want a swashbuckling duelist? I've got a concept for that. I'm tied into the world with any of these. I'm ending up with 5 or 7 character concepts. Just write them out in brief, like 1 sentence, 2 sentences, class, race, whatever. So, see what he does with that. If you send him a list of concepts, most GMs they'll pick something, and see what he does with that, if he gives you any more guidance. But then you can do your full write-up. So, he picked the Ulfin Huskarl in this case. We'll call Buck Gunderson, the Ulfin Huskarl from the land of the Lindblom Kings. And so I wrote up, his backstory, his goals, motivations. Here's some plot hooks, at least 3 plot hooks you can use as a GM. These are his trainers, his family, his contacts locally. So a very detailed backstory, as I always do. I sent that out to him, and see what they do. Because for me, if I'm the GM and someone sends me a detailed backstory, I'm going to have a lot of follow-up questions, just for clarification, and I'm going to have suggestions to work them into my narrative. If the GM doesn't have that, that's another kind of knock, where you can say, okay, I sent him all this, he sent me nothing back. He's no follow-up questions, he's just taking it in like a black hole. Again, doesn't mean he sucks, he's gonna suck, but it makes you think. So, what do you look for when choosing a group? First of all, that GM interview, that player character creation setup, very important. Second of all, when you come in, obviously, what's the game like? The venue's somewhat important, the scheduling is somewhat important, but not unbelievably so. But get there, and I like to intro myself. I'm like, hi, I'm David. This is my background for role-playing. I've played these games. This is the kind of game I like. This is a little bit about myself. And then I encourage everyone to do the same. I'm like, what's your name? Tell us something about yourself. Tell us about your role-playing experience. Tell us about what you want out of the game. If the GM doesn't do that, I'm going to do it. As the GM should do that. Introduce everyone to each other like that. But I'll go through and, listen right there. If a guy says he doesn't know what he wants out of the game, he's got little experience, this might be a guy that you can nurture and educate. If a guy says he's got 30 years experience and he loves playing, Dungeons and Dragons systems, and he's just there to dungeon bash, well, this guy's probably going to suck, because he's been playing 30 years and he never role played once. He just rolls dice, kills things, takes loot, XP, levels up, rinse, wash, repeat. His habits are burned into him, and he'll never break into those habits. He's been playing 30 years and he sucks. He's always sucked. I've met a score of people just like that. You know, they say, oh yeah, it's going to be a good game. I've got 30 years experience. I'm thinking to myself, that does not mean it's going to be a good game. You know, you might have 30 years of bad habits. You know, you think role-playing is a skimmerish war game. I'm here to get in character, stay in character, and tell a story, and grow that character. And if you're here to dungeon bash, we're going to have problems. Because I'm very confrontational, and I'm going to tell you suck. And I'm going to tell the whole group, this guy goes or I go. Who do you think adds the most fun to your game? Pick. And I'll leave right there. Now, usually it doesn't come to that. Usually I can just push that guy right out. He's gone. Or if the whole group is not worth keeping, then I'm gone. I have no problem quitting games, and I'll tell any of the good players, I'm quitting because this game sucks. If you want to be in a game that doesn't suck, you've all got my contact information. I run a game that doesn't suck, and I know 3 or 4 other local gamers, and they all run games that don't suck, and they'd all love to have you because you're good. Don't subject yourself to this bullshit, So, yeah, look at that player intro. What do they want out of it? Sometimes just, what do they do? So other than that, that's what I look for coming into a game. I give every game a 4-session trial period, and if all 4 sessions suck, I quit at the end of the 4th session. I've quit a lot of games at the end of the 4th session. But I do give them the 4 sessions to try and do something. But coming in, that's what I look for. Good GM, got stuff prepared, cares about what you prepared, and a group who's there to role play, and that's pretty much it. As long as you got the GM who's willing to work hard and who cares about what you want to do and cares about what he's going to do, and got other players who do that to some degree, I think you're probably going to be okay, barring scheduling disasters, which I've had before. I've quit games just because of scheduling. But that's my response to you, John Large. If I didn't understand your question, message me back, and I'll record another video about what you actually wanted to hear. So you all have yourselves a nice day out in YouTube land, and I'm signing off now.